And welcome back to Trip to the Mound. Again, we are the iBaseballChannel podcast. Roy Giovanoni, joined as always by Mike Lacoste. Again, we took a little look at the ALCS, and again, I know this is one that's a little bit more dear to your heart, which again is the NLCS matchup, and that's the San Francisco Giants heading out to St. Louis to begin their series tomorrow against the Cardinals.
Heading out to, as Chili referred to, as Cowtown. Yes, sirree. The big arch staring you down, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we're not here to make predictions, but we are here to kind of point out the strengths and weaknesses of each team going in. And let's before we get into the Giants, let's start with St. Louis, and let's take a look. What do you think is important for them as they stare across and look at the Giants on the other end?
Well, they have to keep the Giants from getting extra at bats. They can't make a lot of defensive errors out there and give those guys any kind of leeway, because that seems to be a similar thing that plays into them, kind of like the Royals, is they don't have these guys that are 35, 40 home runs, but then all of a sudden things happen, a walk and a thing and a gapper, and they put a crooked number up. Yeah. So that they're going to try to keep the Giants from scoring early, because their bullpen is not nearly as efficient as the Giants' bullpen is. So they are going to have to try to get a lead. And then, because if they have to come back and then hold on, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them. Yeah. Much easier to keep the Giants down, inning by inning, and try to keep them under control that way. And I think if you pitch around a couple of guys, it would seem like you could have a pretty good time with them. Yeah. It seems like just recently, over the last 3 or 4 games, that a lot of the damage has been done by just a couple of guys. So I would really focus on, of course you saw the pitches they get beat on, but you got to give those guys credit for not missing them, and that's what I would do. But the Cardinals are gonna throw a good pitch. They're going to have good pitching regardless. Their bullpen is a little bit, if there's a weakness, that's where it is. Rosenthal has been, whatever for whatever, but he throws a lot of balls and he throws a lot of pitches, and he can get wild. Yeah. And his fastball is straight. And if it's not up to snuff, that straight fastball, as we've seen, I tell you many, many times, can get turned around. So if that's a weakness, if there is a weakness, I think that's where it is with the Cardinals. They got some good people over there, though. They're not stupid. They got my old roommate over there, the big Stanford graduate, which I'd like to see that degree, by the way, from Mr. Aldretti. He never did produce it. But Matheny and the pitching, the pitching structure over there that's been, blueprinted by Dave Duncan. Proof in the pudding. Look at the starting pitching. Look what they do with that. So they've already, one or two of their guys is in the running for the Cy Young all the time. Wainwright is not a pushover. He's had a rough outing, whatever, but it's still these guys now are getting plenty of rest, and they're having time to get back and get their thoughts together and get a game plan back together. They're home. The Cardinal fans are going to be a plus, and I know that from firsthand experience. It is very difficult to play there, so that would be the my side of the equation for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and you talked about, again, pitching around some of their more hot hands. Matt Carpenter, Matt Adams. These are some of the guys that have really laid into the Dodgers in the prior series. So you'd be looking at guys like Johnny Peralta, Yadier Molina.
Yeah, and Holiday's dangerous. These guys are dangerous, but they can be pitched to.
Yes, yeah. But again, what I'm saying is, for St. Louis, it's going to be the importance of those guys around that main core for them to pick up, if they are going to indeed kind of pitch around some of these other guys within that mix. There's also been a little bit of talk, you mentioned Adam Wainwright, where there's this speculation as to whether or not his elbow is 100% healthy. Yeah. Which again could dramatically change the way that the Cardinals go forward in this series if, say, through this Game 1 process, they find that his elbow's not quite up to speed and he runs into a little bit of a rough outing like he did in the past series against the Dodgers.
Yeah. It is possible, and I'm going to watch real close to see if what I think I see happening with him is true. And it may be this old theory about a guy that, he does have nice fluid mechanics and a delivery to him, but he does. Nobody's perfect, and I believe that he does do what we call lead with that elbow. And if he leads with that elbow, then it is possible that it's having a little problem again. But hey, like I said, he's had time to rest, and we'll just see what happens. He can be real tough, as you know.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And then again, like you said, they have their bullpen to where I'm sure that if they can have their way, they don't want to have to bring out Trevor Rosenthal, Pat Neshek every single night if possible. You have guys like John Lackey and Lance Lynn and some of these guys that have the ability to go a little deeper into games. And so, again, that's, I think, one of the more overlooked things within a series as well, is when you're talking about the fact that you're seeing these relievers over and over again. Obviously, it's stating the obvious, but what starts to happen to hitters as they start to see a guy 3 times in 5 days?
Well, two things, one on the plus, one on the minus. If you go up there and you see a guy and you only get to see a couple of pitches off him, and he gets you out with just a couple of fastballs, you got a problem, because if he's got another pitch or two and he hasn't used it on you yet, now when you come up there again, it's a guessing game, and all of a sudden, if he throws that pitch that you've never seen for strike one, first pitch, and put that thought in your mind, here you go again. So the advantage can really be put to the reliever, but then again, he's got to have at least 2 pitches that he can get over, and he can't get caught in that little trap that our Giants youngster got caught into against the Nationals.
Yes, absolutely.
And you saw what happened, right? They come in there, and if you don't show them that, first of all, if you're not throwing the fastball, where you want, that leads to speculation and a comfort level for the hitter. And so then they take advantage of you from there. And if they see that you're having trouble with the fastball and you're not willing to, try some other pitches, at least put the thought in their mind, then the comfort level increases and increases to the point where they sit on it. And if it's straight, Roy, and it's 99 miles an hour, they can hit it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they hit it twice the other night. But just looking at what's been going on with the two teams here in the playoffs, neither one of them are scoring a lot of runs. So if you're going to guess or speculate, it looks like the game's going to be decided by who makes a base running error, or who throws a ball away, or misses a cutoff man, or runs into the third out at third or home, or something like that, or a bad bunt play, and leads to 3 runs or 4 runs, and then they lock you down. That's it. That is, to me, more of a chance happening. And then my second choice would just be flat out a 2-1 game or a 3-2 game. Just a hit here, a walk there, a bunt them over, a sac fly, a get them in, whatever, or maybe a double and a hit, and that's the inning. And it's it's a 2-1 or just a regular close pitched 2-1, 3-2 game.
Yeah. And let's take it over to the other end of the spectrum, and let's talk a little bit about the Giants. Again, the Giants, I would say, they shocked the world in the sense of where they got past the Nationals in that series, because all of the experts, quote unquote, were the guys that were picking Washington based on what they saw on paper. Giants obviously, strong-armed them in getting themselves to here, but let's talk about what they need to do coming up in this series against St. Louis.
Yeah, well, adding on to that shockwave coming from Southern California is the fact that the two teams are out of that too. So now there's this big, there's a big focus.
Yes.
So the Giants have done basically what I've talked about here a little bit, is they haven't scored a lot of runs, but they have, with the exception of the one game, I should say with the exception of the one game, they have made some mistakes, but the Nationals were not able to capitalize on those mistakes, just for whatever reason. They had their own troubles with just flat out getting hits. Petit went in there and just shut them down. So they there was that part of it. Posey and company, they made bad base running mistakes. They did a lot of stuff, poor sliding. They made some mistakes in that game and got away with it. So, but the Giants still have that little bit of an ability right now to, you don't know who it's going to be, which makes it for a fan, interesting and exciting. Is it could be the Panda striking one night, and Hunter Pence looked terrible for, it must have been 15 at bats, and then all of a sudden he reaches out and, flips a double in there, and then the next night he contributes. So you don't know with these guys. They're not quitters, and that's the problem. See, they keep trying, and they're,
Yep.
you can look at some areas in their game that if it improves, they're going to be tough. If Blanco gets it going, leading off, some of the other guys start contributing. Is Peavy going to, is he going to come up and throw another good ball game again?
Vogelsong, another one
Vogelsong.
of his, yeah.
I would say that Vogelsong, based on what I saw, he's capable of throwing another good game. Now, Peavy is a max effort guy, and with some age, and he's been around a while. He's no secret. So, but again, if he can get those pitches, back on those corners and keep himself somewhat from imploding out there and keeping it together, it could be that's a good weapon to have, right there. And of course the Giants bullpen gets it done.
Yeah.
They shuffle their guys around. Romo down to the setup guy, and Affeld is in there, and a couple of these other guys, and they come out there and just shut you down. A weakness, though, I don't want to say a real justifiable weakness, but in the heat of the battle, and the farther you go down the road, experience sometimes can help out. And if anything, the Giants closer, he doesn't have experience, and so that could, but he's got tremendous stuff. He's got a real good power sinker. He's tough to hit.
Yeah.
Get squared up.